Time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Time to check those updated temperatures. Now 25 at O'Hare and 29 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by AM Woodland Outdoor Design, luxury outdoor living. amwoodland.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and we want to thank Krispy Kreme for dropping off some donuts this morning.
Thanksgiving-themed donuts.
Yeah, very good.
Donuts.
Exactly. My sentiments exactly. So, patronize your local Krispy Kreme. They're feeding conservatives.
How many of those bad boys you throw down?
I just said one.
Come on.
I just said one.
All right.
Yeah, gotta, keep it together.
One last hour and then.
No.
Okay.
We're going to talk to our friend Tom Homan, former acting director for ICE, in just a minute, and maybe a prospective U.S. Senate candidate in 2024.
Oh.
But I wanted to lead in to our discussion with him because he's experienced these sorts of hearings on the Hill. As arguably circus-like as the impeachment proceeding was yesterday, it's nothing to what some of these less reported on hearings have been like when it comes to the Democrat Socialists prosecuting their open borders policy agenda against senior level administration officials, cabinet secretaries charged with enforcing the law. This happened the other week. Ken Cuccinelli, who was formerly head of CIS, Citizenship and Immigration Services, now recently just named the Deputy Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. But Cuccinelli on the Hill being interrogated by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Remember DWS? With the Todd Christensen lid? Yeah. Remember her? She's trying to get back into the action here. Listen to this exchange.
Americans across the country aren't fooled by this administration's specious attempts to distinguish between documented and undocumented immigration. You and Mr. Trump don't want anyone who looks or talks differently than Caucasian Americans to be allowed into this country.
That's false.
I'm sorry. Please don't interrupt me. And I'd like the time added
That's
back.
defamatory.
Excuse me. There's nothing defamatory about it. And
the gentlelady controls the time, and the witness will get a chance to respond.
Thank you very much. You want to block all immigration and make life harder for immigrants, and you have demonstrated that you will pursue this heinous white supremacist ideology at all costs.
Hey, calling you a white supremacist, that's not defamatory.
Excuse me. I'm talking.
Excuse me. Remarkable.
After declaring that I am not a white supremacist, as you alluded,
you have had white supremacist
nor is the
policy.
president.
Okay. Facts matter.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Right.
they do. Truth
Which is why
matters.
I'm stating them here today.
Yes, no,
Please
you
answer the
certainly
question.
are not.
Please answer the question. How many children?
Certainly cloaked in legislative
How many
privilege,
children
but that
may stop
means you can get away with
reclaiming
not
my
telling
time?
the truth.
Absolutely. DWS was talking over him. You're cloaked in legislative privilege so you can get away with not telling the truth. And you can just sit there and call people names like white supremacists. How ridiculous. But that's where we're at. And that's why there is no deal on DACA. And you had oral arguments before the Supreme Court on the future of that program. I mean, it's remarkable that it's taken
forever.
Well, the White House have to take this all the way to the Supreme Court because lower courts have held that what a president did by executive order, Obama, creating deferred action for childhood arrivals, cannot be undone by executive order by President Trump. It just confounds logic as well as presidential authority in this space. But for more on all of these topics, we're pleased to be joined again, as I said, Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE. Tom, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity to comment on. We've played incidents like Coach Cuccinelli had that you've had on the Hill before. And I mean, just what it's like to be the director of an agency, have all these men and women underneath you, like Cuccinelli did, like you did, and to have them all cast as white supremacists because some leftists disagree with the administration's position on immigration enforcement.
Well, it's just ridiculous. Wasserman Schultz did the same thing to me about a month prior when she when she got her 5 minutes, she said how she wanted my bigoted testimony stricken from the record. Everything I said was false. And I interrupted her, so name one thing I said was false. And, of course, she wouldn't answer me. So she spent 5 minutes attacking me personally, attacking the men and women of the Border Patrol and ICE. Then 5 minutes were up, wouldn't let me respond. That's the way my hearings went in the last 2 hearings. They spend 5 minutes attacking us. They don't ask you one substantive question, and they won't let you respond. So as you can see from the last 2 hearings, I've had it. So I was going to interrupt. They can bang that gavel all they want. Having that gavel in their hand don't make them right. The sad thing is Ken was right. We're under oath. We're required to tell the truth. And I want to tell the truth because the truth's on our side. However, they're not under oath. They can say anything they want to get into the official record, and I wasn't going to have it. They weren't going to make a false statement about my president, about the men and women of ICE, or myself into the official record, and I not speak up. So they got angry, pounded the gavel, have at it, all you want, but I won't put the truth on the record. And that was my entire intention. It wasn't disrespectful. I didn't go there to be disrespectful. I didn't go there looking for a fight. But I'm going to go there and not run away from a fight. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I don't know if we've asked you this before. Do you watch Orange is the New Black? It's on Netflix. Have you ever seen it?
No, I don't watch a lot of TV because a lot of that TV now says, how ICE is bad guys.
Oh,
about
that's the whole premise of the last season.
Every show
ICE.
I see is wrong.
And ICE is beating women. They're kicking them. They're kicking small children. I mean, they make them look like absolute monsters. And it's in every single episode of the last season.
Yeah. I was asked the other day on the show, I don't know if it was an SUV or something, they had a small child in court, and the defense attorney brought a fake ICE agent in with a fake ICE jacket, and the child went crazy. And the judge wanted to know why the ICE agent was in there, and the defense attorney, well, we just brought him in to show you how this child was terrified from ICE agent ever since he come across the border. And I was asked the next day, first, a child that comes across his border is an unaccompanied alien child under 18 will never see an ICE agent. Right. They're arrested by a Border Patrol agent, then transferred by a contractor to an HHS facility, so they never see an ICE agent. Their stories are inaccurate. They're again, it's continuing to push a false narrative from the left about the bad work of ICE and Border Patrol. I'll tell you this. I'll tell this to Washington Schultz. I'll tell this to AOC, any of those idiots up there. If ICE and Border Patrol are racist for enforcing this law, because they're only enforcing laws enacted by Congress. So if they're racist for enforcing it, what's that make them? Congress, because they wrote it, they enacted it, and they approved it. So if you want to call us racist, and look in the mirror, but we're not racist. We're clearly doing our job as required by Congress, as required by statute.
And so this Supreme Court case that will potentially determine the future of DACA, how important is this to the jobs that are done on the ground with respect to immigration enforcement and border security? Again, maybe don't get necessarily in the legal arguments of whether this could have been done by executive order and thus could be undone by executive order, but the idea of the DACA program being manageable without some deal, as actually President Trump has proposed previously, but the Democrats weren't interested in, those same Democrats that use these kids as human shields.
I'll tell you my opinion. Yeah, this thing's important because either we have a law or we don't. Either we have a rule of law or we don't. I personally think DACA is illegal, what they did. But I think the President Trump's in a good spot because I think they're going to rule. Number one, if they're going to say President Obama had a right to do it, then certainly if the President has a right to create the program, the President has a right to end it. And if they say he didn't have the right to do the program, that puts President Trump in a good position to go to Congress and say, look, you want to fix, let's talk about border security. Let's talk about doing those things because Congress has not addressed the border crisis, even though numbers are down over 60%. That's because of this president and the out of the box thinking that he's been doing in his policies. Congress hasn't offered up one idea or one fix to the border. I'll tell you what, if Mexico slows down on what they're doing under the president's threat of tariffs, if Mexico slows down, we're right back to crisis levels again because Congress they haven't even had a hearing on it. They'll have a hearing on any policy this administration passes, like a Cuccinelli hearing or my hearing, any policy the administration passes that may affect an illegal alien. They'll have a hearing in 3 days. But they have not had a hearing on sanctuary cities. They have not had a hearing on the attacks against men and women of ICE and Border Patrol. They have not had a hearing on the asylum process or the Florida settlement agreement that are causing a crisis on the border. Congress is ignoring the issue.
How important has Mexico's help been in trying to stem the flow of illegal immigrants into this country?
It's been extremely important, and I said that from day one. This president's got an agreement with Mexico that no other president was able to get. They got, at least 16,000 soldiers that work in the southern border, northern border. So they've really put a dent in this thing. They've removed a lot of Central Americans from the country. What they haven't done is really talk to cartels. And we talked about the other day that had a recent issue with the cartels killing those Americans, and that's because Mexico is still not dealing with the cartels. Cartels they're managing this. They're directing all these operations down there. They own the northern border of Mexico. So Mexico's doing a pretty good job, but they got to take on the cartels, and they can't do it without our help. So I hope they take President Trump's offer and run with it, because we can help them finally put a hit on these cartels, because they're operating with impunity in the country of Mexico. They always have been.
And do you have any inside information or know anything from any of your law enforcement sources about those 9 people that were killed in that offshoot Mormon community?
I don't, and I'll tell you this: I think there's more to the story than we know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but for a cartel to take out obvious caravan of Caucasian Americans, the leadership of the cartel certainly did not approve that, because they know the wrath of the U.S. government's on. That they felt it when they murdered an ICE agent down there, and we practically destroyed that cartel. They knew it after they murdered DE agent Kiki Camarena back in '86. So to take on that, to have that kind of brutal attack on a large American contingent, I think there's more to the story than we know. And I think whoever did it certainly would feel the wrath of their leadership, because they don't want the attention they're going to have from the United States.
Hey, there's a show. If you want to watch a show, and I think be entertained, Narcos. One of the seasons of Narcos actually memorialized the Kiki Camarena murder, and how that really extended, brought about, frankly, the drug war during the Reagan era. It's pretty good. I mean, if you get some free time.
Well, I think they're educated, right? They see what we did to Chapo. They see what we did. Look, if we went down to Panama and brought that guy back, right? So they know that we have a long reach. And the last thing, they can buy off the Mexican military, they can buy off some of the Mexican government, some of the Mexican law enforcement, but they know once they get attention to the U.S., we'll investigate them, we'll dismantle them, we'll prosecute them up here. So that's something they certainly don't want. They don't want the attention of U.S. law enforcement, U.S. intelligence.
Now, speaking of Congress not acting, one of the remedies for Congress not acting in these policy areas is to change out the membership in Congress. And I read a story about one Tom Homan possibly considering a bid for U.S. Senate against one Kristen Gillibrand. Is that true, one Tom Homan?
That story's been blown so far, of course. I was asked on WNIL the other day if I would, because they see me fighting them every day. I'm going to be testifying again this coming week. Should be a show.
Oh, yeah.
I said, look, would I ever consider? I don't know, but if I did, I grew up in upstate New York on the Canadian border, beautiful country, Dairyland and Thousand Islands. If I did, I plan on retiring up there in St. Lawrence River, and if Kristen Gillibrand around, I won't take her on. And I said, so if I did, that's where I'd go, just because that's where I want to retire. And never say never. I think she was one of the first ones to call for the abolishment of ICE.
Yeah.
I grew up in upstate New York. She turned her back on them. She used to be pro-enforcement. She used to be pro-gun. She used to be pro a lot of things, and she sold out for votes to get Hillary Clinton's seat. So I loved upstate New York. I think she turned her back on them. She turned her back on Fort Drum, the biggest employer up there. And if I do retire up there, I will consider it, yeah.
All right, we're going to keep our eye on Tom Homan's political career over the next 4 years. Tom, thanks as always for joining us. Good luck on the Hill. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me, sir.
Take care.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Travel your way with the Apple Vacation Super Sale. With more destinations, more relaxation, and more fun, Apple Vacations puts affordable prices and unbeatable value right at your fingertips. It's all included: flights, hotels, meals, drinks, and ground transportation in one convenient package price. With up to 60% off and instant savings up to $600 at participating resorts. Choose your own adventure in Dominican Republic and explore all the stunning beaches and endless activities this island has to offer. For an unforgettable vacation full of serenity and adventure,